podcast. I'm Louie, and I'm joined by Manny. Yep. The mute man never says anything.
I don't know if you're just going to keep going or what. I have no idea what you're going to do. So I'm just going to, you just do it.
Spontaneous fellow I am. Yep. And also, Chris is here.
Hola.
Big boy Chris.
Big boy Chris.
Dick Smith Chris.
We established this.
Chris Johnson. That's his last.
Right off
Dick
the top.
Smith Johnson.
No dicks in what we're about to cover.
So he 1 star deducted simply because of the lack of penises in this film.
No dicks, you're fired.
Episode over. Cue the outro music.
Choppy.
I don't have any dicks over here.
There are no dicks. There are no dicks in the vicinity of Manny right now to show Chris.
Not. Look, it would be over here. I'd have something.
We gotta get like a Haunted Hangover dickometer. Like, like a running tally. A tally of tallies.
Oh, that's something I could definitely
here, that'll do. That'll do. Close enough. There you go.
There we go. Little Johnson.
Oh, but you can't. The dick isn't visible in the Frankenfooter.
No,
print.
he's not.
So, Chris, you'll have to use your imagination. There you go.
I'm there.
You see Tim Curry's penis visible in his visible in his mind right now.
We're in business.
It's funny. We were at our friend's place the other day. We were outside, and she has like one of those like lawn ornaments, but it's like a panther. Because she has cats, so it's like, maybe that big, just sitting on the lawn. And I happen to look at it, and I'm like, that panther has balls. They sculpted the panther with balls.
Fantastic. Accurate to nature.
Chris can appreciate that.
Do you buy that? Do you buy that at like a Marshall's?
It is. It's one of those sorts of things there, like TJ Maxx or Home Goods. Yeah, totally. It's just a full. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what is the shape behind? It's like that's balls.
They made sure they wanted it to be as
anatomically correct.
Anatomically correct.
Anatomically correct lawn decor.
I think the intro of this show made up for the lack of dick and balls in this film. So, Chris, are you satisfied?
We're 2 minutes in. We've hit a lot of dick.
We try hard.
Dick and balls.
Dick and balls
were also mentioned. You don't focus. Chris doesn't focus on the balls. No. It's more the dick.
That's very impolite.
You
gotta hold them.
If you're,
what are they just hitting you?
When I'm watching a movie and I see a dick on the screen, that's all you get. That's all. You don't ever see like a dick and balls in a movie. Like that's extreme.
I did in Bring Her Back.
Oh, all right. Well,
yep.
Spoilers. Yep. Dick and balls.
There is full cock and balls.
Dick and balls.
Or at least twice.
All right, Chris hasn't seen it yet, so
add it to Mr. Skin.
I'm not. That's not a spoiler, but you know,
I think
something to look
I'll be
forward
okay
to.
going into the movie knowing that there's a dick and balls. Fuck, I can't see it now.
Full lawn too. It's not. It's just
full landing strip.
Oh no! This is a hedge. It's a hedge monster.
And on that note, happy Friday the 13th, listeners.
Yep. A bush from the bush.
A bush from the bush. Mm-hmm. Yes, Friday the 13th. There is only one in 2025, and we had to celebrate somehow. Not by talking about hedges, balls, dicks.
I mean, it's working.
It's working so far. It's like 5 minutes into the episode, and that's been what we're talking about.
We start strong.
We do. And this was my idea to talk about the movie we're going to be diving into. And the reason why I chose it.
Solely to blame for this one.
I tortured these two men by making them sit through an hour and a half, an hour and 27 minutes of this. Yeah. I was going to say insanity, but that's not the right word to use. I don't know what you would say. Chris, what's a word you'd use to describe this movie as a whole?
Garbage.
Okay. Quite harsh. But I did pick it for 2 reasons. Obviously, Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees. This film does not have him in it, but features a bootleg Jason and also takes place at a summer camp. So it fits the criteria of a you would think this is a Friday the 13th movie.
Homage.
I don't think homage is the word. It's just flat out ripoff, I think.
Oh, yeah. Totally a ripoff.
I don't think that's a good word to use. I mean, I would say Friday the 13th and Scream are sort of the
It's a cheap slasher. Real cheap. Real cheap.
Cheap being the key word here to kind of describe this film. And the film we're going to be discussing, unfortunately, on this Friday the 13th is the year 2000's Y2K, y'all.
Man, there's a lot of shit to blame on the early 2000s. People just off the hook. They didn't know what they were doing.
They did not know what they were doing. And that film is Bloody Murder.
There's no such person as Trevor Moorehouse.
They treated me awful 20 years ago.
Somebody help me!
Nothing higher anybody can do. And for that to happen, hey.
Bloody Murder. Come out wherever you are.
I know for a fact that neither one of you have actually watched this film up until this point.
This
correct?
Is one of those movies that I saw in bargain bins for years and intentionally avoided it because there's no way this is good. There's no way this is going to be a good movie. I could tell.
I'd like to go back to the person I was 2 days ago before I saw this.
Chris, did you know this movie existed?
No, like I'm sure I saw the cover, right? The fucking fake Jason mask, the Clark Griswold, the Sleepaway Camp 2, the Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, like the cheap Jason hockey mask. It's in everything else but Friday the 13th. I'm sure I've seen it before, something like on streaming services and shit, but I would never have actively sought it out ever.
It's an authentic hockey mask. It's
right.
I think Jason's wearing a fake hockey mask.
It's an Ayatollah of rock and roll mask. This is not a Jason mask.
This is this is the hockey mask you actually like wear when you're playing hockey compared to what Jason wears, which is like, I don't know what the hell that is. Like, I don't think I've ever seen footage of a hockey game where you see Jason Voorhees style hockey mask.
Yeah, it's a goalie mask.
I don't think so. Yeah.
It was a mask at the time, yeah.
It's like a really old goalie mask, I guess. I guess
an old
the way to
movie.
describe that. Yeah. But yeah, this is, like you said, the Clark Griswold authentic hockey mask. Michael Myers coverall situation as well. So it's kind of ripping off Michael Myers a little bit there as well. And Chainsaw. So the whole family's there. You got Michael Myers, Leatherface, and Jason mashed up into one character by the name of Trevor Moorehouse.
That lamest fucking name. Lamest name.
You didn't like Trevor
I wrote
Moorehouse?
in my Letterboxd review, he sounds like a fucking CPA. Mm-hmm. I get like Michael Myers is, like a regular guy name, Jason Voorhees, regular guy. Trevor Moorehouse, he's like a fucking substitute science teacher.
Mr. Moorehouse.
I'd say fucking teacher. A substitute teacher at that. He's not even the real teacher. He's a substitute in every aspect of life.
Yeah. Off the bat, horrible. And like the kids in the beginning are like talking about the legend of Trevor Moorehouse. That sounds like somebody's house you wouldn't go to for Halloween.
But they never tell you the legend of Trevor Moorehouse.
Right. Not at all.
You never even learn what the fucking legend is.
That is a question I have.
Never tell you what it is. You find out in part 2.
Oh well, don't jump the gun now.
I haven't watched all. I only watched the beginning of it. I did go forward, and you do find out. But in this movie, there's no. I didn't realize until I watched part 2. I was like, wait a minute, they never told the fucking story. How did you base the whole movie on an urban legend, and you didn't even tell us what the fucking legend is?
Right. They play the game that we're all supposed to know. Bloody Murder.
You want to play Bloody Murder? What is that? All right, let's go. What? You didn't explain shit. We're playing tag, basically.
Yeah.
All right. So for me, I vividly remember. Now this was 2000, like we said.
Manhunt. That's what it was. It was a manhunt. It's like essentially Manhunt.
You're right. That's basically what it is. Manhunt in the woods, because usually Manhunt you play in like an urban setting. I guess you could
because we live in the city, so it happens in the city. I'm sure kids that live in the middle of nowhere played Manhunt too.
They played Manhunt too.
They hid in trees and shit.
Timothy McVeigh was playing Manhunt growing up.
I hid in somebody's fucking basement,
So this movie, year 2000, That was sort of the blockbuster video, straight to VHS, DVD, boom. Movies that had cool covers to entice people to rent them.
Didn't have that either.
Yeah, I would agree. It's kind of a generic cover.
Didn't even have that.
Chris mentioned that earlier with Trevor Moorehouse being on at center stage.
And the cover that's on Tubi is even worse.
Oh, that one you can't even.
What the fuck is that?
Does he got a fish hook? Like I know he did last summer. Am I misremembering?
No, it's like it's just like half a face on like the side of it, and then it says bloody murder, and then it's like red.
The tagline on the DVD is "Ready or not, here he comes." Like, oof, intimidating.
The Tubi, which is how we all watch this, the Tubi poster, it looks like a face screaming in a black void. That's it.
A reddish black void. There's a red tint to it.
Very uninspired cover on Tubi. I will say the DVD VHS cover with Trevor Moorehouse holding the chainsaw, bloody murder, can sell it a bit more.
It's an improvement. If you had just seen the DVD and then you realize, and then someone told you the poster on Tubi is actually worse, you'd say, no, that's not fucking possible.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Completely possible. This is where he puts both of them in the edit. Here they are right there.
You will be seeing them
in my hands.
If you're watching the YouTube video, they're both here.
Here's one.
Here's
the other.
There's number 1 and there's number 2. I did rent this in 2000. It was when I was renting everything. And I was like, cool. I'm like 12 or 13. 2000. I was 14. So
14,
I'm like,
15.
Yeah. I'm like, you know what? Hockey mask, bloody murder, chainsaw.
This is going to be great.
This is going to be amazing. Yeah. I put this movie on and I remember telling myself, what the fuck am I watching?
What the hell's wrong with me?
It was like I remember this when I was like renting like, Night of the Demons and kind of discovering some more obscure stuff that, didn't grow up watching.
Video stores gave you that opportunity.
Yeah.
He saw this tape, said, this looks good. He watched it and said, I'm questioning myself now.
Yeah.
I don't think I know what good taste, what it looks like good movie. I don't know if I can pick one out.
in the year 2000, there were a lot of these like direct to DVD, direct to video movies that were like basically trying to capitalize on Scream. I Know What You Did last summer.
The genre at the time, the slasher genre.
Well, the slasher resurgence.
Revival.
Revival in the late 90s. But I just thought it was so weird because it was blatantly like if you're a Friday the 13th fan, and you're 12 or 13 or even in high school, you'd see this and be like, you know what? There's no Friday the 13th movie getting released right now. Let me grab this and check it out. It's close enough. And then find out that it's like a really low budget shot on DV, right? It looks like it was shot on DV, like digital video tapes, right, Manny?
It's very low budget.
No, it wasn't. No.
2000? What do you think they shot this on?
Yeah, I don't think it was. No.
It wasn't like film. It looks like film? It does?
It doesn't look like DV.
Really?
It looks like cheap, like bad film, but it doesn't look like DV. It's not that flat.
Because I was trying to figure that out while watching it because the aspect ratio is
it's a 4:3.
Yeah, but I think that could just be the crappy release that's there.
It's also not been. I don't think Bloody Murder is going to be remastered for
no, absolutely
Blu-ray
not. I don't think that unless this episode catches some traction, there's no way that. It's getting any upgraded format.
But yeah, we're not killing our episode, but by sort of just saying that this is not a good movie. This was just something I wanted to cover for Friday the 13th for fun.
For the holiday. The holiday.
We usually, especially Manny and I, tend to
1:3 is the actual aspect ratio.
Really?
Yep.
They shot it like that.
I don't know if they shot it, but that is the final ratio.
Weird.
It's full screen. So
weird.
It could have been some type of video. It doesn't look as
That's
bad.
what I thought.
It could be. But again, the version that's there just looks like shit to begin with.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to cover this because I knew it was silly. And Manny and I usually don't shit on movies like this.
Nope. Shot on 35. Yep.
Wow.
Shot on 35 millimeter.
Wow. Manny's fact checking I didn't even know
I'm
that.
curious. I'm curious, but I'm like, No, it is shot on 35.
Wow.
Final ratio is 133 to 1, so so they probably just shot it and then they processed it in like open gate full frame.
Crazy to think that they actually shot this on film. But anyway, Manny and I tend to not shit on these type of movies, even though this movie is 25 years old and is was made way before we were making any type of horror films together or individually. So I try to be as gentle as possible with
I'm
stuff
a professional
like
hater.
this. Well, Chris, you can be a professional hater. All three of us here have worked on movies.
No, and that's what. Listen, like I can
quality.
say, regardless of how the actual movie turned out, you have to give them credit for doing it, right? Like they made it. It's a tough task to make a movie. Period. Like that. There's no taking that away. The execution just not there.
So before we go any further, let's run down some information here. And again, this is light. A lot of these actors
Got a soap opera star.
don't even have like
really
their
about
IMDb.
it.
They don't even have a picture. Some of them. This was like their only credit. A good chunk of them. So this was directed. So first, it was released September 12th, the year 2000. So right before in September, right before the Halloween season officially begins, was directed by Ralph E. Portillo, who, if you look up his IMDb, has been working the entire time he's been making this movie. The past 25 years, he is still working to this day.
His first movie was 1986.
Which is crazy.
Oh, wow. So he's been around.
But the craziest credit that I noticed on his IMDb, and again, I don't know how accurate this is, so I'm maybe a grain of salt here. He co-produced Fighting with My Family, the WWE movie about Paige Saraya.
Interesting.
With Florence Pugh, which it's a pretty big movie.
The Rock produced that movie too. Like that's a huge movie.
Yeah, I saw
share
that and I was
production
like,
with.
I mean, co-produce can mean anything.
Right.
So, but I just thought that was really interesting. That was the one credit outside of Bloody Murder, of course.
Yeah,
that's like stuck out to me. I was like, what the fuck? This guy co-produced that movie? Got a wide release. That was, had a big star in it with Florence Pugh. The Rock, his production company was involved. So
Yeah.
I don't know how Ralph E. Portillo or whatever, Portillo.
God damn.
Ralph E. Portillo. I don't know how he got involved in that from this. He made this movie and then
Good for Ralph. Good for Ralph.
yeah, Ralph E. Man, I'm just gonna call him Ralph E. the rest of the episode. It stars Jessica Morris as Jules. I only have two names here because they're really the only two that went on to continue. They have pictures on their IMDb profiles, and they're still working to this day. So Jessica Morris as Jules, who's the final girl, the main character of this film, the main protagonist, I'd say. And then, it's more ensemble, I guess, because there's a lot of characters in this. And then Patrick Kavanaugh, thank you, Chris, as Toby. He too has been in a bunch of shit. Soap operas, TV shows.
Also still working today.
Still
Both
working. That is about it, though.
Yep.
Everyone else, a couple of credits here and there. Nothing of substance that stood out to me, at least, when I was because I was curious. I was like, maybe some of these actors went on to do big things.
That's what I'm always curious about, that kind of stuff.
I found it.
Okay, here we go.
Portillo works for WWE.
Oh,
Get outta here.
Shit.
He works.
Very cool.
He's a production consultant for WWE. His email is actually at wwecorp.com. I got IMDb Pro, so I can look up people's professional information. I was like, you know what? You're right. That's interesting. He works for WWE. He's a production consultant for them. So that is how he produced that.
All right.
Wow, my man went from Bloody Murder to working for WWE.
Seems he owns Hemisphere Entertainment, which is one of the production company.
Interesting.
I don't know how long he's been doing that, but I mean, he's got a lot of movies under his belt as far as a producer is concerned.
A lot of comedies I noticed. He's he's a working. It seems like he's a working producer more than director these days. But that's interesting.
He works for WWE.
See, look at that.
How he got that.
He went from making bloody murder to working. Well, not anymore.
Well, I mean, look at
working for Vince McMahon, but
I mean,
Vinnie Mac's not there
crazier
anymore.
things have happened. This guy from Zombie Nightmare.
Oh yeah, you're right. Another
Just
film
directed
we
fucking
covered.
Deadpool.
Yeah,
Directed Deadpool Wolverine. So
it's crazy to just see people's. People make fun of a movie like this, and then they go on to do pretty big things. So
Yeah.
Can't hate
Everybody
the game. Can't hate the
somewhere.
game. Can't hate the hustle.
The game, Triple H,
Everybody starts somewhere.
WWE, full circle.
And he didn't even start here. This is 15 years into his career.
Yeah,
we're
it's
talking
crazy. Yeah.
There you go. That explains that. So thank you, Manny.
You're very welcome.
I saw that credit and I was like, where the hell did that come from? Makes sense now.
I dug it up.
Now, Bloody Murder.
He also produced the Marine 6.
Well, that makes
Marine
sense.
5.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's
The
why he's got all
movies,
these
yeah.
WWE movies.
He must help them in their film department.
I don't even know if that division is still open.
That's quite possible.
Maybe he does he helps them with some of their like videos and stuff.
Yeah.
I could probably find out, but that would take some time. But let's move on.
Let's focus on Ralphie's Bloody Murder.
Mystery solved.
Mystery. Thanks, Maddie. So before I jump into what happens in this movie, it does have 2 sequels, which I know Chris knew that there was
Sequel
not
and a
Chris,
spin-off.
Manny, no, Chris, you did know that there was a sequel, right?
I saw that there was a sequel.
Yeah, so
I didn't know about a third spin-off.
So as shitty as this film is, there is a sequel, Bloody Murder 2, Closing Camp, which who knows if we'll ever cover that. And then there's a spin-off called The Graveyard. I have not seen either one of those. I have not had the pleasure of watching either of those sequels, so I have no clue the quality of either one. But I have heard that Bloody Murder 2, Manny even said it before we recorded because he watched some of the sequel. It's a little bit better. It's a push on the ass up the steps of quality, but not by much. It's kind of like
I'm gonna watch both when we're done.
And
Staying
I'm
up
sure
all night.
It'll be watching you, buddy. I don't think you'll be watching. If it follows the pacing of the original, I don't know if you'll be able to stay up.
What pacing?
Well, and on that note, let's dive into what happens in Bloody Murder.
All right, I'll be at this round. Let's make that tree over their base. Oh, and you guys, remember to keep an eye out for Trevor Moorehouse. We're playing in his backyard.
So, Bloody Murder follows the very obvious final girl, Julie, a.k.a. Jules, because that's what everyone calls her in this movie, and a group of her very generic cookie-cutter slasher characters. I didn't even bother writing all their names down. There's like 7 or 8 teens.
You know what's-
There's a Toby.
Yes.
What's funny
Because
too,
everybody goes, Toby, every time he's on screen. Toby.
What's funny too, looking at this, you say her name is Jules, and usually, how do you spell Jules? Like, her name's Julie.
Jules.
Yeah, no,
it's spelled like jewels you would wear.
Jewels. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But yes, Jules, and a group of her generic cookie cutter slasher friend characters. They're literally just generic. I don't even think they're teens. I think they're like young adults. They're supposed to be like in the college.
They're supposed to be like 18 or 19.
17, 18, yeah.
I think
These
they're
are
like
fucking
college
grown
age.
adults. One guy's losing his hair.
Well, I think he's supposed to be older. But he's hired by I don't know what you would call the main counselor of the
Director?
camp.
Director?
Camp director. There you go.
Right?
Yes.
That's a thing.
Patrick, who runs Camp Placid. It's Camp Placid Pines.
Placid Pines.
Which doesn't really roll off the tongue to me, at least.
Flaccid Pines.
There you go.
CPP. CPP.
There's also there's 2 groups of teens because you've got Jules and her friends, and then you've got like the competing group that there's some hostility. Right. There's some.
They're
beef.
already there when our characters get there.
Yeah, and even Patrick, the boss, he's like, "Oh, is this going to be a problem, guys?
Yeah.
Are we going to have some issues here?" Because I think one guy's the ex of Jules or something like that. There's a lot of stupid subplots in this movie. And I'll be honest, there's certain points, because there's one character, I think her name is Whitney. I confused Whitney and Jules at least twice in scenes. I could not tell them apart. And then I was like, oh, wait a second, that's Jules, not Whitney. So yeah, I kind of lost track in certain scenes. But yeah, they're all working at this camp. After a warning from the local crazy guy, Henry, a.k.a. Crazy Ralph's second cousin, because that's basically what it is. He is a ripoff of Crazy Ralph from Friday the 13th, 1 and 2. And the group hanging out around the campfire, poking fun at the local legend, which we do hear a little. We hear about this character twice, Trevor Moorehouse. We hear about them. Hear about him when Jules...
In the first scene.
Yes, in the first scene we hear about him when they're driving to the camp, and then they mention him again during the campfire Friday the 13th ripoff scene.
This movie starts with a car driving, and then it just stops. The first line of the movie is, I don't know what happened. I just filled it up 20 minutes ago. And she says, well, it's empty now. And this is his wife, because he says, he calls her his wife.
Right.
This isn't like some random date of some guy who's like, why are we out of it? You just filled up 20 minutes ago. Dude, there's something wrong with your car.
Right. Where are you driving in 20 minutes that you are so out of gas?
You've gotta
you
be
need to
leaking.
walk with the canister that out of gas.
Like, I wouldn't even be trying to refill it. I'd be sticking my head under my car to find out why I'm leaking gas.
To be fair, to give the film a little bit, even though they did a terrible job with the editing and the way they kind of established this is a story being told by Toby, I think. I don't remember which teenager. Yeah. So it kind of plays off like
it's like a campfire tale kind of story as they're driving. Right?
But they're not at the campfire. They're on the way to the camp. Yeah, which is a weird placement to tell this story.
The killer shows up and he literally says, Trevor Moorehouse, and he runs. What?
Oh, God. Anyway, during the campfire scene, they decide to play a game called Bloody Murder.
That's the title of the movie.
You gotta stick the title in somewhere. Exactly, Chris.
That's it. That's where the movie ends.
Whoa.
You gotta stick it in.
They said Bloody Murder. Movie's over. Roll the credits.
And one of the characters, I think it's Jason, and I have more to say about him in a bit. He's like, oh, watch out for Trevor Moorehouse. So, there's a lot of they play
say
up
that like 4 times in the movie.
Yeah.
Don't forget to look out for Trevor Moorehouse.
And like
he's going to audit you.
And like Manny said before, that's about as far as we get to the Trevor Moorehouse legend. We don't find out why he's terrorizing people at this camp, why he wants revenge. And if they did say it or talk about it, I missed it entirely.
Every single one of us missed it. I think they missed it. Is the thing?
Yeah, he is a boogeyman that exists at this camp.
Yes, Ralph Portillo missed it.
Yes, yes, Ralphie. He completely missed
Ralph
it.
Portillo missed it, buddy. What are you doing?
John R. Stevenson, screenwriter.
There you go. So
who only wrote these 2 movies? I looked it up. Only wrote these 2 movies. So
he gave up while he was on top. That's it.
He gave up on top. Bloody Murder. So yes, during the game, a prank is played involving one of the generic counselors dressing up as Trevor Moorehouse.
The Jason guy. Jason dresses up as
Jason,
the guy, as the Trevor Moorehouse.
He is Jules' current boyfriend, who's douchey. So, and Manny, do you have something to say? Because
what do you got? What do you got?
Expression on your face.
The guy who directed part 2 also directed Leprechaun 5.
Whoa! He went on to bigger and better things.
Well, he did. He moved. He directs a lot of TV as well. He did a bunch of Supernatural and Criminal Minds and all that. But before all that, Leprechaun 5. Leprechaun 5 in the hood.
In the hood. Dare I say, that's a better film than probably this one and Bloody Murder Part 2, because Leprechaun in the Hood is highly entertaining. Anyway.
Sorry, I just got a chance to watch this last night. I had shit to do today. I didn't get a chance to really do too much looking into this. So I'm looking it up now, and you're just getting my live reaction.
Getting the live reaction. We could just be quiet. Let's just let Manny react to the rest of this. This is gold.
Honestly, this movie doesn't merit doing this deep of a dive.
I don't know. It's just more entertaining.
Yes, it is.
Than the movie itself.
Than the movie itself.
I mean, we've gotten the conclusion that the producer works for WWE and the director of the sequel went on to do Leprechaun.
Works for NBC now.
It's amazing. It's
Great
amazing.
revelations here.
It's amazing. So some sex happens between two characters, Whitney and Jason. Jason is Jules. I didn't get to let that out before. Jason is Jules' current boyfriend. So they've got their relationship going on. And one of the other guys is her ex. So the two characters having the sex are Whitney and Jason. They're having the sex and they're being watched by Dean, who is Whitney's ex-boyfriend. So Dean is watching his ex-girlfriend get banged by Jason, who is his friend.
Right.
That's happening. And he's just like sitting there. I can't tell if he's turned on, if he's a cuck. I have no idea. It's a very odd scene.
He says, yeah, give it to her.
Yeah, it's so weird.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, are you upset or enjoying this, buddy? Are you about to whip it out? There is where Chris's scene could have come into play. Some Johnson action, some weenie action could have happened.
I'm honestly glad there isn't any.
That's where you're glad it ended there.
I am going to correct you, though. Leprechaun 5 was before this.
Wow.
And his first movie is the first witchcraft movie.
Oh, wow.
Wow. What a career.
Which I'm in the middle of watching the series. That was
Look at that.
The
What a
director of
full
Part
circle
2.
moment for you.
Director of Part 2, yes, his first movie was the first witchcraft movie.
Interesting. What a career this dude had.
I now want to see Part 2 more because I want to watch more of his shitty movies.
Seems like he went on to be. I mean, they both went on and had a lot of success. So
he made a few other like erotic thrillers. I see Midnight Temptation, Sexual Predator,
crazy,
Hotline, Call Girl, The Minister's Wife.
A lot of Cinemax After Dark type films, right? I'm sure it sounds like.
Yep, 90s sex films. Yep. So
back to the sex in this film.
See the bridge?
There
see
you
the bridge?
go.
Building bridges.
So yeah, Dean is enjoying what he's seeing, but he's also Dean. Well, yeah, Dean. Dean is enjoying.
What's
seeing.
the difference?
Yes, it doesn't matter.
Fucking difference. Generic male number 3.
Right.
But yeah, so after the sex, Whitney and Jason, they're done banging. Dean goes and beats his meat somewhere else. Jason is...
I didn't see that part.
You didn't see that
Is it
part.
a deleted scene that I missed? You do have the DVD.
Director's cut.
Yes, the director. The version Chris didn't get to see.
You got to lend him that copy.
Yes. So Jason gets... I don't know what happens to him because it's stupid. Doesn't make any sense but what happens later in the film. But Jason goes missing because of fade to black. Someone attacks him. Fade to black.
Yeah, some unknown person.
Unknown person. That's it. They use a dissolve to black, a fade to black to explain his disappearance. Jules is concerned about Jason because of course she would be. That's her boyfriend. Everyone blows her off. They're like, "Oh, he needs a break. He needs a couple of days away, Jules.
Yeah,
don't
just
worry about
fucking
him."
walked into the middle of the woods. Like that's a fucking normal thing to do.
Yeah, don't stress it too much. He'll turn up. Whitney, Dean's ex, is killed by a person wearing a hockey mask, dressed up like Trevor Moorehouse, while the rest of the group watch a slasher film. And I did write down the name of this slasher film. Did you guys catch it by any chance?
It was like Overnight Sleep Massacre
Yeah,
14.
yeah.
So it is Sleepover Camp Massacre 14.
There you go.
Close enough. Close enough.
Kind of want to watch that movie instead of this one. probably. I mean, that probably would be a little bit better. I do
But it
like
was an
how
hour, and he says it's like an hour and 47
Hour and
minutes.
47 minutes,
which
right.
is a little long for
Enough
movies
time
of
and
this
all the
genre,
this
he says.
shit. Yeah.
yeah, it's
The most detailed recall of memory that you've ever seen in a film. This guy broke down
nuts.
the whole pot. He put a lot of fucking thought into
that
how we would brutally murder Whitney, he says.
On that note, I'm glad you mentioned that because that scene did stuck. So that's Toby, the nerdy guy.
Right. Telling the sheriff his potential recollection of events.
At this point, it would be about 10:35. That's an hour and 7 minutes before the movie ends. This would have given Dean more than enough time to brutally murder Whitney, dispose of the body, clean up the pantry, and return to his seat before the tail credits rolls. But, of course, that's just a theory.
He's saying that Dean didn't do it, I believe,
Turns
is what he
into
kind of
Mr.
says.
Body over here. I have the answer.
But then he goes, you know what? If he did do it, he would have put the costume on, left while we're watching the movie, come back, clean
The
up
1
the
hour
blood,
mark. Clean up the
clean up the blood, hide the body.
And sneak back in with just enough time.
But that's just my thought. Those are my
Right.
thoughts. On what
And what's crazy is we're over here doing all this. There's no body yet. They have no proof that anyone is dead, but the sheriff is here, and we're looking for a murderer.
We don't know about Jason's death, but we do know Whitney died because we do see blood and a knife.
We know this, but
the
they don't.
characters
The
don't.
characters
No
don't
one.
know it. Right.
No
right,
one.
right.
This
No
is
one
the
in
first
movie
time
knows.
in slasher film history that the sheriff has just believed the stupid kids that someone's dead.
The Toby kid says, and I wrote this line down because it stuck out as who the fuck wrote this? When he's talking about the movie, he says, the VCR was kind of a piece of shit. Hesitates for a second, goes, can I say that to a cop? What?
The dialogue is just so strange. I don't know if it was because it's the year 2000 that they just sort of like. That's a weird line
That's
for 2000.
written by someone like who has never had an interaction with a teenager or a police officer ever. What kind of dialogue is that?
There's a lot of terrible dialogue earlier on.
Yeah.
Is it Whitney? Is Whitney Whitney and who's the main Jules? Two that were sitting there, and she lights a cigarette. Another one looks at her, and she says, "Oh, it's a habit I picked up when I lived in Guam."
Yeah. Then she calls
Because
them
Guam
Guam
is the only-
cigarettes later.
Yeah, she asks, "You have one of those cigarettes from Guam?"
Yeah.
And I had to figure why that? Why Guam?
The specificity of Guam.
Guam. One more stupid thing that I had to look this up. Why Guam has the highest rate of youth smoking in all of the U.S.
All right. Oh, they did their research.
They did more research with this script than we did for the for
the
this movie.
highest is wow.
Yeah. Okay, so continuing on.
You didn't think this was going to go smoothly,
No.
did you?
Oh, I am happy this is not going smoothly. This is the one time we do an episode where it's just just as messy as this movie is.
Padillo's going to be upset.
Yes. So Dean is the prime suspect because of
Why not?
what
Because
Chris
of
someone has to be.
Toby's recollection.
because of and also because of the connection to Jason and
Right.
Whitney. I'm giving the script the benefit of the doubt.
Broken kneecap or
Yes.
whatever.
Because he dated Whitney. That's his ex-girlfriend, and Jason's his best friend. So they're having an affair.
So does he
Right.
think that the guy Tanya Hardinged him or something when he was running? Is that what it is?
Probably. That's what
You
I
gotta
think
blame him
happened.
for it. He's the last person he ran against when he blew out his leg.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that have to do with
Right.
anything?
That has nothing to do with shit.
So Jules has an encounter with the killer, Trevor Moorehouse, which includes a pretty, give it a little bit of credit here, extended chase scene. And I say it is very extended. It goes on for a quite long time. We get these shots of Trevor Moorehouse's legs running, and then we go back to Jules' legs running, then back to Trevor Morehouse's legs running. Whatever. They tried. I give them a little credit for that one in my notes. Dean is killed. He's not the killer, obviously. Gets his throat slit, and does he get stabbed as well or something afterwards?
I think that's the first moment where there's actual blood in the film.
Yeah, it's not a very
and it's
gory
very
movie.
very little.
Yeah,
there's that and the arrow. Those are the only two like bloody kills. Everything else is just off frame. Like the chainsaw goes off the frame and kills them. Everything is off camera. It's the only two blood, and there's not even enough blood in that.
So
there's nothing.
Here's where we start to a bunch of people are killed. I do not have each individual death in my breakdown because it doesn't matter exactly.
Yeah,
one of the kills is even
their body count.
Even one of the kills is played up as kind of a gag at the very end. We'll get to that in a second. So Jules eventually finds out that her father went to the camp as a kid because she finds like an old photo of him or some shit. And she's like, oh, it's my dad. And he's in the photo with another teenager named Nelson, who was almost killed during a game of bloody murder, the game that they played. An
accident that happened during a bloody murder game.
Nelson returned to the camp and killed, I don't know if it's one or several, he wanted revenge, and killed the person who was involved in the accident that fucked him up. I'll be very honest, as a detail, I missed it. Nelson was not burned. He was not disfigured because when we get to the ending, I don't know. I don't think they ever tell you how the prank do any of you guys remember?
Nope. He stubbed his pinky toe and he was really upset about it.
Yeah.
What
he
happened?
Got hurt during the game and that's it.
He got an owie.
He got hurt during the game. That's literally what they say.
You think of movies like The Burning, even Friday the 13th. Why do these killers want revenge? My son drowned in a lake. I was burned. You know,
there's an extreme reason for their motivation.
Yeah.
This is just
even comparing it to like Sleepaway Camp, The Burning, Friday the 13th. There are reasons why these characters want revenge. I could not tell you for the life of me, gun to my head, why this Nelson character, what happened during the prank that triggered him to go crazy and want to murder somebody.
Nelson Hammond, another
didn't even
boring
bother
fucking
his last
name.
Another
boring fucking name. Boring names. Trevor Moorehouse and Nelson Hammond, like tax attorneys.
What's the
Hammond and Morehouse LLC?
Yeah.
What's the commercial that
Celino and Barnes?
Yes. So
Hammond
Nelson.
and Morehouse.
So yeah,
we're here to fight for you.
Jacoby and Myers.
We'll chop down the competition.
Jacoby and Myers is no longer Jacoby and Myers.
It's just Myers now.
It is. They sued each other a couple of years ago.
I just remember it growing up, Jacoby and Myers.
Mm-hmm.
So Nelson, again, he killed a bunch of people in the past. Surprise, Jason wasn't killed. He reappears after going missing with the fade to black that happened earlier. And Jules' dad decides to visit the camp. So throughout the whole film, Jules is emailing her father back and forth.
Oh my God. And the fucking voiceover.
Like echoing in a room.
Like they're going to war. Like they're reading wartime letters.
And it sounds terrible too. It's like they recorded that voiceover from across the room.
Yeah,
like they just dropped the microphone on the floor and said, "Here, read
horrible.
this."
Yeah, it's pretty. It's
my
rough.
Dearest Jules.
Yes,
nothing to report over here.
Like,
glad you're having fun. And then he even says at the end something, you kids today think, and then him who's just as young as the rest, he's like, you kids today, you think your emails are going to save you. Wait, when the fuck did anyone say anything like that? At what point was that ever a plot point that the email, this is my
it
comfort.
Wasn't implied in any way, shape, or form.
In the year 2000, people said that.
I was going to say, it's just really shows how people saw email in the year 99, 2000 when they were making this. Like, what a marvel it was.
Yeah.
And the little sound effects that come with it, and the, checking mail, no messages. Oh, and she's sad. Can I? She's gonna go here. No, I'm gonna hang out for a minute. Mind if I check my email?
It's just her and her dad, because as she says earlier, my mom died recently.
Well, what's on your mind? I don't know. Everything. My mom, Jason, now Whitney. This summer isn't exactly turning out as I expected.
Plot very thin. Nothing is ever explained.
She tells Drew, my mom died recently.
My mom died recently.
It. No, it was a big thing. It
my father died before I was born.
Yeah, right. Before I was
best
born.
Friends, Martha. That's what it was. That was the Martha moment.
Yes.
Yes, we can be both. Our parents are dead. We can be friends now. Good. Like besties for life.
Yep.
So dad's there. Jason is back. Gonna jump forward because this movie is is all over the place.
It's also one of these movies where you can visually see that they shot this over a long period of time.
Of course, yeah.
Because Whitney's hair changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I couldn't recognize her. That's why I said at one point
she looks like a completely different person in some of the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. It was very strange. So jumping forward, Jules befriends this girl named Drew, right?
Drew.
And it turns out, because that's the girl you guys joked around about the Guam cigarettes. Like
Drew. Okay, it's Drew.
Yeah,
that's her
Drew.
name. Okay, yeah.
So
Drew.
Throughout the whole
Not
film, not Whitney. Whitney's the girl that dies in the pantry. The sex girl.
Okay,
Curly,
it's Drew who
hair,
changes throughout the whole course of the film.
Yeah.
Every time you see her, she looks different. So it's like they clearly shot this over like a year.
Yeah.
You know?
So throughout the film, Drew and Jules become friends. Like you guys joked, the cigarettes. She's there for the emotional moments. My father died too, etc., and all that shit. And her character just kind of enters and exits scenes throughout the whole 90-minute runtime. Yeah. So it turns out she's the daughter of the person who Nelson, the guy that came back for revenge, with Jules' father. So she's the daughter of the guy Nelson killed all those years ago. Is she the killer?
Don't think about how that timeline does not fucking add up.
It does not. It does not add up. Now, this is where things get... the editing here is really poor because there's a whole scene with Drew, with Jules' father, and then he gets hit with a paddle behind the head and falls into the water, so it looks like it's Drew, but it was actually the killer. I was confused by just the shitty editing in this.
One of the best moments in the movie is when Jules accuses Drew of being the killer when they're on the dock, and the killer is walking up behind Drew, and for some fucking reason, there's a mirror on the dock that Drew picks up.
Really? I didn't
to
even know
show her that the killer is behind her.
Yep.
I don't even remember that.
Oh no, it's not a mirror. It's one of those tanning things.
Oh yes,
that people hold onto their face,
yeah.
and she picks it up. Look behind you,
because
doing that was
right. Yeah.
So, to make a long story short and just end this goddamn thing, exactly too late. It turns out that the boss, Patrick, is Nelson, and he's the one committing the murders. Drew reappears after being knocked out by the killer, who at that point I don't think we see his face, so we don't know it's Patrick yet, but she gets knocked out. She shoots Patrick, aka Nelson.
Where'd the gun come from suddenly?
I have no idea. From the sheriff?
Suddenly he's holding a gun. He's holding a gun all of a sudden.
The sheriff's not involved enough to have left the gun behind.
No, it just he suddenly has a gun. He's been killing people with all these other things, but suddenly he has a fucking gun. I remember the first time I watched. I was like, wait, where'd the fucking gun come from? He has a gun all of a sudden.
So you missed that he apparently killed the real Patrick and took his place.
Yeah,
hung him from a fucking tree.
Yep. And he's been there
with all the rest of them. Been there the whole time. Nobody smelled him. Nobody saw him.
Nope. Vultures, nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
Just a body in a tree for like 3 days.
Yeah.
And the film ends.
Thankfully.
Thank God. With Patrick, a.k.a. Nelson, being questioned by the sheriff. He admits to killing all those counselors, unnamed counselors that I just brushed over, except one. He blames that kill on Trevor Moorehouse. And we get one last shot. We get Jules and Toby, the nerdy guy who talks about how Dean killed people if he did, agreeing to go, I guess, visit her father at the hospital or the sheriff's office or some shit. They're going to leave. And, Jason shows up and he's being the douchey boyfriend. He's like, oh, come with me, Jules, blah, blah, blah. He sucks. A lot of them suck.
that whole exchange. Go have a happy life together.
Because Toby also wants to bang Jules, and it's very apparent. He's very upfront, like, hey, you're gonna have sex with me now? Cool.
Also,
guy.
when Toby thinks that Jason is the killer at one point earlier in the movie, he goes, oh, he's a psycho, and he had to be named Jason. So, like, are you referencing, like, Friday the 13th? Jason, like, Jason 100%. Exists in this world?
100%.
But nobody else is like,
there's no way that was an accident. This is 20 years after obviously.
Trevor Moorehouse is wearing a Jason mask. No one stops to be like,
no one says anything.
Yeah.
So Jason, he douches off. He goes, I don't need you guys. I'll walk myself. He takes the road. They pass him in the truck. And then what happens? He encounters Trevor Moorehouse with the chainsaw.
The real Trevor Moorehouse.
The real Trevor Moorehouse. He screams. We get another fade to black or a zoom in on his mouth, I think, or some shitty garbage like that. Roll credits. And that was the end of Bloody Murder.
I can kind of understand in a backward way why you killed Whitney and Brad and Dean. But why Doug? Doug never did a thing to you.
I didn't kill Doug. Must have been Trevor Moorehouse.
Now, to talk about the
we're
film.
not done yet?
No, we're not done yet. So, is there anything I want to, because we've been so negative for the last fucking 50 minutes. If you had to give this movie, if you had to give it a little bit of praise,
some of its flowers, what are its flowers?
Some praise, something it did good, something you enjoyed. What would it be? Chris, I'm going to start with you. You got to say something good about Bloody Murder.
The Toby character was the least annoying, I think. That's what I'll say. He was like a good, like, goof character.
That's it.
But he doesn't. but the thing is, he's not fleshed out enough to be like a Randy from Scream dork lover kind of character. He's just the least annoying of like the characters that are there.
What about you, Manny? Anything positive to say about Bloody Murder? We're starting with the positives before we get into more negatives.
The mystery on actually, not the mystery, but the breadcrumbs they dropped. When we get to the end, we have a bunch of false killers, And as they went through it, first it's Drew. You think it's Drew. Mm-hmm. And I watched it. I was like, yeah, I kind of saw that one coming. And then went to the father. I said, yeah, I saw that coming too. Because I remember during the course of the film, I said to myself, she's the killer. And then at another point I went, nope, I think it's first I thought it was the father. Then I thought it was Drew. So we got to the end. I was like, okay, the breadcrumbs were put out there correctly. Then the Nelson thing happened. And it's just the most obvious because that's who the guy said it was in the beginning.
Yeah.
The crazy Ralph, Harry, I think his name is.
Henry.
Henry,
yeah. He said, oh, Nelson's coming back. So he literally told you, And you know what? It did it. It pulled you. You're like, who's this? I'm wondering who the fuck this Nelson person is, considering we keep talking about Trevor Moorehouse.
Right.
I started to think that it was a Tommy Wiseau type of mistake where he just said the actor's name and they left it in there. You know, I started thinking, I was like, I mean, is the actor just named Nelson and they left it? Like, they couldn't have made that big of a mistake, could they? Like, how often can that really happen? You know, so it was told, it was the only part of the story that was told properly. That the red herrings were put in front of you correctly and it misdirected you correctly.
I agree. Because obviously I have not revisited this in many years since I rented it 25 years ago, but even when I put it on, I had a feeling. I was like, oh, it's Patrick is going to be the killer. Not the whole Nelson thing, because that was like just all over the place. Trevor Moorehouse, Nelson, Jules' father, how they all fit into this kind of convoluted plot. And then you have Dean and Jason, who he disappears, reappears. Dean is the red herring. Then he's killed. I was like, all right, what's the one character that's popping in and out of scenes that could be the killer?
And the reason that they're all there.
And they do nothing in the film to persuade you that he's not, like the other direction, that he's not the killer. So even watching it, I was like, all right, he's the fucking killer. Patrick, the boss, the head counselor or whatever, he's the killer. I knew that from the get-go. Like when I put it on again, even, and I don't remember anything about this movie. So when I watched it again, it was like almost like for the first time, because I remember jack shit about when I had first seen it 25 years ago. If I even made it through the whole 90 minutes, knowing me, I might have even turned this shit off after I tried to watch it.
Waste of a rental there.
Yeah, waste of $4.99 or whatever. Now, something I'll give it credit for, and something I dig, there's three things, and they kind of all play in together. We covered Salute Your Shorts. We covered the Zeke the Plumber episode. Great episode. It's a fun episode. It's better than this, and dare I say, creepier than this.
Oh yeah.
But some of the shots at night are kind of cool. The lighting, the fog. They tried. You could tell they tried.
No, they absolutely tried. With all of it, it just wasn't necessarily successful.
Were they? Yeah, exactly. Were they fully successful in that? No. But I will say there's a certain kind of cheapness to it that's charming. With, again, the fog. It looks like they just put spotlights on them and then the heavy shadow behind them. I appreciated kind of the DIY
there's
aspect
like a fan film quality to it.
Not even fan film. It's just bad lighting in reality.
Right, like it. You know what they were going for, but they just couldn't get there.
Like comparing it to the Zeke the Plumber episode, they kind of look similar. Those night scenes, I would say, not so much the daytime stuff. I give them credit for that, the use of fog. I do give them credit too. They actually used a camp, which is pretty cool. They were able to shoot
fully
at a camp.
On location.
Yeah, so it feels authentic. It feels like they're at a camp when they're in the woods around the campfire. It feels legit when they're in the cabins, when they're sleeping, and Drew and Jules when she's checking her emails. It feels like a Friday the 13th sleepaway camp cabin. So I give them credit for that as well. That's another thing. And dare I say it, the character looks stupid, but there's something charming about the Trevor Moorehouse character. Now, not Trevor Moorehouse when Patrick's wearing the costume. Trevor. So I don't know if you guys noticed. When it's supposed to be the real Trevor Moorehouse, whoever portrayed him looks bigger, and there's like a black hood underneath the hockey mask. Kind of cool for a Jason ripoff. I dug that. So those are like the three things I do appreciate about the movie. Everything else, hot garbage. So for me, that's kind of the pros. Now, there's one thing I was curious if you guys noticed this. Did you guys notice? So at the 44, I don't think either one of you saw this, but at the 44-minute mark, the boom is visible, clear as day above the two characters' heads. They're sitting at a table. I did see that too. Jules runs into it is hysterical because you can us, like we were, Manny and I were
happens,
just
yeah.
on set like the time of this recording a week ago, and like you see the boom, and then you see the boom operator was like, shit. You just see it get quickly pulled up, and they left that. They left that take in the movie. It was
the best take they had.
Which is amazing that they left that take in the film. It's not even like you see the shadow.
Probably the only take they had, you're right.
Yeah, dude, it's obvious. And you see it move quickly, like he jerks it up, and I'm like, wow, guys, you're trying to tell me you didn't, like, there's not multiple takes of this that you couldn't cut around that, but apparently they couldn't cut to Jules in that scene and then back, like, to avoid the boom
They
shot.
didn't have it.
You know, the editing is really poor. The dialogue is bad.
I'll say that it's quite possible that, again, they shot it on film.
Yeah.
So it's quite possible the editor assumed it was eventually going to be cropped to widescreen.
Possibly, yeah.
And that's why. And then when they finished it in full screen, it's still in the shot.
Yeah.
Even though they intended on it being cut out, and they just never did. Maybe they ran out of money at that point, and they just, we don't have money to reframe and reprint. You know.
Yeah. It's just it's one thing when
this is crazy.
You just see a little bit of it, but dude, you see the full boom get lifted. It's not. And what's funny is I went into IMDb goofs. No one has that written down in a goof. And 44 minutes and 33 seconds.
Look at that timestamp.
There you go.
Got it.
But I just got a kick out of it because you see the boom operator just like quickly lift it up. And I'm just like, damn, the director, the camera operator or something must have tapped him and been like, oh, dude, your boom is in the shot. And it's astonishing that there's a third character in this scene. You guys could have cut to Jules to work around that, but I guess when they were editing or they didn't notice it.
That's all I can think. Yeah, they were just thinking.
Bizarre
Bizarre
choice.
Funny. It was, the camp is Camp Gilboa.
Okay.
That's what it's called. It's named Camp Gilboa. It's a camp. One of 6 summer camps in the country associated, you ready for this one, Chris? Associated with the Socialist Zionist Youth Movement.
Oh my God.
And this is the camp where they shot the original 1961 Parent Trap.
Oh, interesting.
And scenes and Dr. Dolittle 2 with Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
In the lake, Bluff Lake. Back then, it was in 1961. It was called Bluff Lake Camp. It is a Zionist children's camp for kids 3rd to 10th grade.
That's insane. Yep. Watching this movie and revisiting it all these years later, I am so curious. And I mean, Manny, you have all the information pulled up. What the budget was, because
I'm trying to find that actually. That's how I found the camp. I'm trying to find the budget.
It's low budget, but at the same time, they had to have had some money because they had this whole camp. This movie does move around a lot. So it's not like they were stationary to one room or one part of the camp. They bounce around. They're in cars. They're running through the woods. So there's a pantry. There's a lake. So there was time put into producing this entire film. So
I cannot find a budget.
I mean, I'm sure someone's hiding that information, like on the accountant put that somewhere.
Or they just didn't, Yeah.
They just
didn't really. They didn't list it wherever it is. I'm looking through IMDb Pro, which usually you can find the budgets and stuff.
Yeah.
I can't find a budget for this.
The biggest sin to me, and we could wrap it up here. The biggest sin that this movie, 2 sins that this movie has kind of going against it. Number 1, if you're going to make a slasher movie, at least adds, you even hinted, you mentioned it earlier, the gore.
Yeah, there's no on-screen violence really.
You get you get a throat slit, you get an arrow twice.
Yeah.
Because there's a character named Brad that dies
gets the arrow in the back.
Yeah, he's a nothing character that adds nothing to the script.
Right.
He gets killed for no reason. You get Whitney stabbing off screen. You see a bloody knife. Mm-hmm. You get Dean's throat slit. Even when Patrick is shot, it's almost bloodless.
Yeah. The dead bodies that are hanging from the tree, just look like regular bodies. Like there's no decomposition, like no wounds, nothing.
You would think that these people are obviously ripping off Friday the 13th and Scream, that they would add a gutted body, or even fine. You can't create wounds and gore like intestines or decapitation or whatever. But you can at least afford some fake blood to throw on people. You know what I mean? Whatever
Sausage intestines.
Yeah, I mean, if they had the money to shoot at a camp, unless there was a connector that they got this for nothing, you couldn't add any blood to this. And the second thing the second sin is this is one of the most dull, boring slasher films you'll ever see.
That was my,
and that's coming from a guy.
This is just boring.
Boring. And that's coming from a guy who, and I've said it on the show before, who Manny and I wrote a slasher film. We're not saying this is two guys that wrote a crappy slasher movie.
Yep.
And even I'll admit that some of even the dialogue is just like, it doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't sound authentic. It doesn't sound real. Yeah.
It's mostly what my notes were just quotes. Like, who the fuck wrote this? She looks at her. She says, "Your toes are beautiful." And I said, "Did you mean her nails?" "No, her toes," because then you get a shot of her feet. And she's got she says, "Thanks. It's called Mendi, a form of body painting I learned when I was in India." So this girl lived in Guam.
And
she lived in Guam, where she picked up smoking. She moved to India and picked up body painting.
She's a talent.
Now she's here in Camp Gilboa with the Zionists.
Yeah, yeah. Like I again, my notes, just like Manny's, are almost all dialogue because the lines stuck out as so inauthentic and goofy. I mean, I wrote down 10 minutes into the movie, Toby and one of the other characters get locked in the fridge, and she's like, "Oh, Toby, didn't you see the sign?" And he goes, "It's summer. I'm not exactly looking for a reason to read." Who talks like that?
Yeah. And then he says, "I'm willing to get carnal to stay warm."
Yeah.
Get carnal?
Get carnal. Like, you're an 18-year-old kid. Like, yo, you want to bang. Like, that's dialogue. Like, normal.
Yeah, I mean,
don't worry about Jason.
Tell.
I'm sure he'll show up when we. Don't worry about Jason. I'm sure he'll show up when we least expect it.
I think,
which is what Jason does,
right?
Not these idiots.
I said this when we covered Satan's Little Helper last year.
Oh God, I'm really getting tired of you picking movies. Really getting fucking sick of this.
This feels like a first draft. Like, they just wanted to make a movie as quickly as possible. I think they were trying to add a certain spice to the dialogue again with Drew, and it just didn't work because the line delivery was awkward and the character just didn't have the charisma to recite that type of dialogue.
It doesn't sound like stuff that real people say. It sounds like a movie dialogue. Like it.
Yeah, it's weird.
This is true. This actually falls in with what I said earlier, that they shot it in 3 separate camps that are edited to look like one. So again, that's something where, like, okay, they shot here, then they went to another, and months later they probably shot somewhere else, and then they shot somewhere else. Yeah. So yeah, this was something I don't know if it was something that they just threw together, because clearly the people behind it, on the production side, like, they're not inexperienced. The producers and these people knew what they're doing.
Right. They've got 15 years of work behind them before this.
Which is why I think you get that look, like he said, of that Zeke the plumber look, because that's what they know how to do.
Right.
That, like, late 80s, early 90s, like, I'm not going to say kid horror, but you know what I mean? That style of campy horror.
Yeah.
They knew.
This isn't even campy, though. That's the problem.
No. I mean, but like that they made that, they know how to make that type of visual film, which is why you get that look, because they already knew what they were doing. There's a formula to this. You use this type of light on that type of thing and you get Zeke the plumber looking creepy in front of a cabin.
I know we're dissecting a movie like Bloody Murder, but it feels a little soulless, like, to say something like this. It feels like this was like a weird tax write-off or something. Like, this was a weird, like, I would love to know more because it's like it just doesn't have. It doesn't even feel like filmmakers
There's no
that were
weight to
passionate.
it. There's no weight to it.
Like, you know, you watch
Yeah.
a movie, you can feel the passion, even when it's a garbage movie, or like shitty, or if they had no money to make it, you still be like, you know, they tried. There was some passion put into this. It does not have any of that.
It's lifeless. It's flat.
And they're not even trying. And they're not even trying to parody or make it funny. Where it's like, all right, this is a stupid guy in a hockey mask chasing a girl.
Yeah.
She trips. Like when there's a scene where Drew trips by the lake when the killer shows up. Mm-hmm. And it's not even funny in a campy way. You can tell they were like, oh man, we need you to fall. Like it was played up for like being dramatic. And it's like, this doesn't work. It just
The same thing happens in the beginning too with the
So
guy
weird.
at the car.
That was
He
supposed to be
trips.
campy, but it's not. I think, you know?
Yeah, but he trips and the Trevor Moorehouse character is like still standing still in front of the car and the guy has enough time to recover and get up and move.
It's weird. It's very strange. It's a movie that just it doesn't offer you anything.
Yeah,
Like, that's
I will
what's
say
weird
this
about it.
though.
Yeah.
As a completionist, I'm gonna watch the sequel.
and the spinoff.
Yeah, I'm gonna. At some point, I'm gonna have to get to them now. I've seen the first one. I have to.
I'll probably finish part 2 tonight again, just because what's her name is in it. And again, I watched the
Tiffany
first.
Shepis.
Yeah, I think I got maybe 15 minutes into it, and the first 15 minutes is better than this entire film. It doesn't make it. I don't mean it's still a better. It's a better movie. It doesn't make it a good movie, but it's better than this. The characters feel like characters in a movie. You know, like they each have their own personalities.
Yeah.
They're annoying as fuck.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it.
They're annoying as fuck personalities, and they're very like cookie cutter, but they are, like you said, you went through this movie and like, I don't know who's who. You can't tell characters apart in this as to who said this, who did. I have no fucking idea. And right off the bat in part 2, every character is somewhat individualistic.
Yeah.
You know?
You guys inspired me to give the second one a shot. Maybe even the third one, The Graveyard, the spinoff.
I
give
see
that
Jessica
a watch.
Morris, who played she played Jules in this. There is an interview where they were talking about. She says she hates this movie.
Well, I'm not surprised.
And she's apparently got a recurring role in the Vivica Fox series. The wrong, you know her movies.
I never saw.
You guys know that? No, it's not a TV series.
Okay.
Vivica Fox has a series of Lifetime movies. I don't know if you guys know this.
I don't know this.
No.
It is 28 films long.
Holy shit.
They're not connected except for the title. And this is the funniest thing. Like, I almost want to watch them all just because. And Vivica Fox is in them. I'm pretty sure she produces them. And there's other guest stars that appear in them. The Wrong Roommate, The Wrong Child, The Wrong Student, The Wrong Crush, The Wrong Man, The Wrong. There's 28 films.
What the fuck?
That is insane.
Yes. And Vivica Fox has been doing them all. There's looks like most of them are by the same director. There's one director that did like 10 of them, you know, but Jules she's in like 4 or 5 of them as well.
Well, it seems like
seriously, look up Vivica Fox's like filmography, and you're gonna see the wrong tutor, the wrong wedding planner, the wrong stepfather, the wrong high school sweetheart.
Oh God, those sound terrible. Those sound just as bad as Bloody Murder.
Patreon series.
But here's the thing.
No, thank you.
Here's the thing. The first one was made in 2016. The newest one came out this year. There's 28 films in 9 years.
That's ridiculous.
Yep. And she's in all of them.
Oh, wow. All right, cool.
That's a Patreon series if I've ever heard one.
I don't know about that.
And they're all films in the series. All the films in the series have been. It says. Oh, sorry, I was looking at the writer. They're all directed by David DeCoteau.
Okay.
You know
sounds
who
like
he is?
fun.
He did Robot Ninja and Trophy Heads. He does a lot of stuff for Full Moon. He directs all of them.
Oh God, I can't imagine how fucking horrendous all those movies are.
He directed The Disaster Artist.
Oh well.
Is he? Oh no, he's in the disaster artist.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Well, that
But
makes
he
sense.
did-
That tracks.
Yes, he did a bunch of those Dr. Alien and
Yeah.
you know, Zombie Cop Puppet Master 3. You know, he's 20. Can you imagine directing 28 movies in 9 years?
Not much for quality, I'm sure. In that
Dude, I
department.
don't know, but again, they're all Lifetime movies, and people fucking seem to love them
All right.
because they just keep making them.
Yeah. Well, final thoughts. Bloody Murder. Chris, we'll start with you.
Like I said, I shit on it a metric ton of shit on this movie. However, that being said, like I said, ultimately give them credit for making it, and I'm gonna go try and watch the sequel. I don't have high expectations, but I'm gonna try.
Manny, final thoughts. Bloody Murder.
Boring. It's just boring. It's just I think that's like the worst sin that a slasher movie can make, is that it's just boring. Like there's a whole lot of nothing. And that's my real problem. I said they actually told the story properly. The dialogue is terrible, the performances and the way they shot it, everything is really bad. But the core of, you know, the breadcrumbs and telling the story, they told it correctly. You're able to mostly follow it if you're not confused by who's who, you know?
My final thoughts are, if you want to torture yourself.
See, you said to yourself, I haven't seen this in a long time. I thought about this. I thought, let's do that. Well, why? Have you had a bout of insomnia? I just got to fall asleep. I put this on. Great, we're going to cover it.
And that's kind of the point. It's like every now and then you got to kind of remind yourself that, you know, even a horror film can be this dull. Even when it's a Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, right? And that's what we're here talking about it today.
That's why I chose it.
Right.
See,
I chose it.
It fits, I guess, but
I chose it because I thought it would be fun to just talk shit about a really bad Friday the 13th ripoff. But in reality, like, if you really want to torture yourself and for 90 minutes question every single character and plot detail, Bloody Murder might be the movie for you. If you're looking for gore, an interesting killer, an interesting group of, you know, protagonists that are talking about life and having a good time.
Else.
This ain't the movie for you. Just go watch Sleepaway Camp. But if you're curious, listen, Bloody Murder's on Tubi right now. You could watch it this Friday the 13th. You could watch it next Friday the 13th. You could watch it any time of the week and year. And go to sleep. Like you said, if you have some insomnia, this will knock you right. This will put you right on your ass. Have a nice meal and then watch Bloody Murder.
And be glad that there's not another Friday the 13th this year. Otherwise, we'd just be watching part 2. You'd have to sit through us talking about part 2.
Coming soon.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, who's Trevor Moorehouse?
The camp boogeyman.
Look, take it for whatever it's worth, but my older sister swears she knows someone whose brother's friend disappeared out here a couple years ago during the summer.
What is this, 6 degrees of mutilation? There's no such person as Trevor Moorehouse.
So that was Bloody Murder. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Blue Sky, Facebook, at Haunted Hangover. Head over to hauntedhangover.com where you can find links to everything, including our Patreon page, where you can gain early access to episodes and bonus content. Manny and I just did our first Buzz commentary talking shit about another terrible movie, but that we enjoy this one.
Much better than this.
Much better than this.
Much better than this.
Much better than this, but we still talk shit. Zombie Nightmare. We've covered it on the show here, so we thought, let's do a full Buzz commentary. Have a couple
I
drinks.
think the next Buzz commentary is Bloody Murder 2.
I don't even think alcohol would fix a viewing experience.
I got
of
something
this movie.
stronger than alcohol for us then.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about that later. But yes, go check that out. We've got more bonus content to come the rest of the year.
And make sure you rate and review us wherever the hell you're torturing yourself listening to us talk about this crap for. Tell us you want Louis to stop picking movies. That's what your review says. Louis, stop picking movies.
I'm sorry, guys. I made you sit through this movie.
It's all right.
It's my apologies.
You're forgiven. I'm calling dibs on the next Anthology Obscura for sure.
And as always, remember, the best cure for a hangover is
More booze.
More booze.
Happy Friday the 13th.